So, what do you know about Mount St. Helens blowing up?
Well, I was about 20 years old, and it was in the spring of the year, and the news started reporting a bulge growing on the side of the mountain. And then, after a time, there started being steam plumes, ash plumes, and as time progressed, they became more evident. And to the point that sometimes they came down as like a heavy gray talcum powder, and you turn on your windshield wipers with your fluid and you couldn't see.
Would it scratch your windshield?
Well, the talcum powder probably, maybe, I don't know. But there were other times when it came down and it was like a grit. And then one time I remember in particular, it was a heavy, heavy grit, really big. And I know that scratched my car. I had just bought my car and brand new, but I didn't have anything to cover it with, carport or whatever. So I got this bright idea to put a sheet on it. Big mistake. You pull the sheet off and you're scratching your car as you do so. So, yeah, it was sometimes when it came down during the day and it would just cover everything and everything would become the same color.
Yeah.
And I
This is
remember,
before it blew up, right?
yeah, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, these are when the ash plumes were happening. And like I remember going to work during the day and it was so slimy, sludgy on my windshield, even though I had, you know, fluid, that I had to drive looking out my window. But I had to get to work all the time because nobody could take a day off.
Right.
So
Um, did you have to like do things to the air filter of your car, or
I didn't, but I was 20 years old. I probably
yeah?
should have, but I didn't know.
Were other people doing things to like take care of their cars? Were like people trying to come up with stuff?
Well, there was talk about air filters and stuff like that, but I was young. I didn't really care.
Right.
And but I did care about the finish on my car because it was brand new.
Yeah, that was your Mustang, right?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
Mustang, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was black.
Oh yeah.
And I had nothing to protect it. And the minor eruptions, or whatever they call them, were happening more and more frequently and a different variety. Again, it started as talcum powder, and then there was one time when it was so gritty coming down, you could hear it hit the top of your car and your windshield. So you're not using your wipers. And again, I had to go to work. One time, I think it was the worst time. It was at night, and we were closing up the restaurant, and a major ash plume or whatever they called them had happened, and people were pulling off the freeway. They couldn't go anywhere. They came in, and we were going to close, but we stayed open. We couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't go anywhere. And we lost power, and we just made it through the night. We had candles, we had flashlights, and people got to know each other. There's probably like 60, 70 people total. No, maybe 60. And it was just what we had to do. But during all of this, I still hadn't developed a fear that the mountain was going to erupt.
Really? So it would get so bad that people couldn't drive, and then yeah, you. What was it like? What was the ash like when the mountain blew up?
Well, a week before that happened, on the news, they said there was an imminent explosion, eruption. And that put a fear in me. I went over to my mom's house and I'm like, they say it's imminent. What's going to happen? She says, well, there will be an eruption and we don't know, but we'll get through it. Whatever happens, we'll get through it. And so I remember being very fearful that week because, we have a real volcano. I think that's when it became real to me.
Yeah.
Before it was like, whatever, inconvenience, man, this is bad, it's hurting my new car,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But that was a turning point for me. So, the day it blew, it was a Sunday. And not a cloud in the sky, just beautiful blue sky. But it happened. And I remember my husband and I driving to different vantage points around the county where you could see Mount St. Helens. And what used to be a big mountain, it was still there, but it was small compared to the plume that was above it. And I had no idea that the atmosphere actually went up that high. It was major. And it was humbling. And like I say, we went to different vantage points to see it. And, just wondering how people are doing. We saw on the news that the Toutle River had flooded and all these logs are coming down. And we heard about so many deaths. People that were outside of the danger zone died also. But there's no way with Mother Nature to know what's safe and what's not. There's no
Right.
way to predict what a volcano's going to do. It could have blown our way.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Right.
And the ash traveled east. And my girlfriend and her husband were in eastern Washington. They were on the way back that Sunday morning. And they got stuck in it. And I remember him saying it was a beautiful clear sky. And they saw just a black mass coming towards them. And he thought it was Armageddon. And then it engulfed them. And they had to, people were trying to drive, the roads are small there, and with their lights on, their flashers on, their heads out the window. They did finally get to a school and stayed in the gymnasium. And I remember my girlfriend saying, in times of distress and disaster, a lot of emotions come out, and a lot of fear, and you just try to comfort each other to get through it.
That's crazy.
Another thing I remember is our relatives in Austria tried calling Mom and Dad, and they couldn't get through for days and days and days, and somehow they thought like Washington was blown off the earth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and that's good. But, they were in fear for the people here.
Yeah. So when the mountain blew up, like not a lot of ash came this way at that point?
No, the weather system was such that the plume went up in the air, like I say, unbelievably, and then the ash, you could see this like, I don't even know what you call it. It wasn't plumy, it was just a solid, like, cloud heading east. So we're really fortunate in that.
Yeah. How long was the plume of ash in the air when it blew up?
Wow.
Was it like a couple days it was there?
I really don't remember. I remember we watched it until it was dark. Oh. Yeah. I don't know about after that. I really don't.
Did you lose power on this side when it blew up?
I don't recall because it was during the daytime.
Right.
I do remember working at the restaurant at the junction. A huge, this is before it blew, huge, loud, terrible noise. And the whole restaurant's vibrating. Everybody's rushing to the east windows to see if Mount St. Helens blew. I went to the west window because I thought a semi-truck had hit my new car. And what it turned out to be was an earthquake. So we did have earthquakes.
Cool. Um, was it loud when the mountain blew up?
No,
No,
no, we didn't hear it.
didn't hear it. Huh.
No, we were in Woodland at the time, and I can't remember. It was maybe around 10, 11 or so in the morning, and no, didn't feel it, didn't hear it.
Whoa.
But that's us. Other people may
Yeah.
have different experiences.
Right. I heard like the noise like went up and like bounced off the whatever ionosphere thing.
I
And
have
then
no idea.
came
I
down.
was inside a building. I have no idea.
Hmm. Um, there's movies made about Mount St. Helens afterwards too, wasn't there?
Well, two movies were made about volcanoes, but I remember Pierce Brosnan was in one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I watched a
And-
movie when I was a kid with
Yeah.
you, where they had like the robot going into the dome. Or
Oh, okay. No, that wouldn't have been a movie. That would have been real life. They sent these walking robots in to the crater afterwards. There was a bulge growing inside the crater, so they would do that to observe what was going
Gotcha.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other things were just, you know,
Yeah, no, I was a kid and I remember watching that with you and I I couldn't tell if it was a movie or real life or not. And they had those janky
Yeah.
looking robots. with
yeah,
the
yeah,
sticks.
yeah. No, that was real. That
Oh,
was
okay.
real. After it blew, I had put my name in to win a flight over St. Helens, and I won.
Oh wow.
So my husband and I went in a red Cessna and went up around Mount St. Helens. And I don't know, this is my understanding of what the pilot said. I don't know if it's accurate, if I remember it correctly or not. But he said we'll get on the north side of the mountain and we'll drop down and we won't be on radar and we'll be able to go lower. And that's what we did. I don't know about the radar and all that stuff, or if he was just trying to make it more,
More adventurous.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable. It was all this mountainside and, you know, the major mountain and all the minor ones around them. And the trees were totally stripped and you could tell the blast direction because the trees were laid out one after the other, side by side by side. And everything's the same color, absolutely no green. And just, you know, mountain after mountain of toothpicks. And we did see something that was like a truck or a Jeep or something. I'm not sure because he pointed it out. We looked at it and I couldn't really tell. And everything was the same color. It was really strange. And there was a body of water, not big. I assume maybe it's Spirit Lake. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it before now. And it was smooth. You could tell it was water full of all of this ash. Everything was the same color, and you know it was water because it was smooth. But you know, all those trees, the lodge, everything gone.
There was a lodge up there?
Yeah.
They didn't rebuild that, did they?
No.
No.
Now, after it happened, they said, oh, nothing's going to grow, blah, 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 blah. Well, things do grow. Things do recover. Vegetation does come up. And so that's what we've seen.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It was, you know, again, I was young, and when it finally sunk into my head
Yeah.
that there's going to be an explosion and an eruption,
Uh-huh.
and you know, we've had ash fall over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear that the eruption's imminent and we get ash fall, in my mind, I'm thinking it's coming our way. So I still have dreams at night about having a volcano on our property. I've got the lava going, I've got an eruption, I've got all these things, and you know, maybe a couple times a year I have a dream like that.
That's crazy. That was like a pretty big life event for you, huh?
It was.
Yeah.
Not everybody goes through that. You know,
Definitely not.
having a volcano within like driving distance from your house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think like St. Helens is only like 20 or 30, 40 miles away. I think it's like 30 from like right here.
Maybe, yeah.
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 It's not that far away.
No, it's not.
Um, Keely and I are gonna go climb that.
Are ya?
Yeah, in August.
Nice.
Yeah.
We went up to the information center, whatever they call that,
Mhm.
years ago with you and Scott's daughter Erin.
Mhm.
And during that time, inside the crater was a bulge growing. But I never hear anything about it anymore, so must not be doing anything.
Yeah. I think it is actually. It's still like growing. Um, when we went there, I must have been in my Game Boy phase because I don't remember it at all.
Could be.
Yeah. I was pretty hot and heavy in the Game Boy for a while. Yeah.
I remember after we went through the interpretive center, or whatever they call it, then we sat, opened the tailgate on Scott's truck and sat on the tailgate and just watched. See what would happen.
Mhm.
Because things were still happening now and again back then.
Yeah. Um, I think that about nails it for me.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
Long pause for emphasis. But I can't think of anything.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.